There we go. Sometimes the microphone doesn't want to go. Welcome in. Good. Let's see, what is it? Good evening. Just about morning for me here. Just about morning. Just about midnight. Get that turned down a little bit there. Welcome to the stream. Welcome in. Finally able to get back on the computer. It's been about a week since the last time I even turned this thing on. So there were a few things I wanted to do with the stream and everything, but wasn't able to do it yet. Hopefully everything's working. I think I got the gate working here in Miami, and then I think I have the gate working okay in Bermuda. I can't figure out how to get PAC-X to not have floating passengers. But everything I tried to do wasn't really solving the problem. So, welcome in. We're Microsoft Flight Simulator flying World Tour Flight 222. We're at Miami International Airport in, of course, Miami, United States, Miami, Florida, United States. And we're going to be flying out to LF Wade International Airport in Hamilton, Bermuda. And we're on American Airlines. We're going to be Flight 308. And we're going to be flying in the A320 Neo with the FlyByWire A32NX mod today. The real life flight is in an A319, but we don't have that plane, so we're doing the A320. Real life flight that I at least picked was takes off at 7:24 in the evening. I just switched it to basically exactly 12 hours ahead of what I am, or behind what I am, ahead or behind. Or it's about 11:30 in the morning. Here in Miami, so we can get a daylight flight. Just make sure. I think I have the my camera exposure a little bit too high for Flight Simulator right now. Turn that down. There we go. The natural game color. It's middle of the day. We don't need to turn it up or anything. So I want to do actually we'll just go inside the plane for now, and we'll use the fly pad for this. It pulls in sim brief just like we like. We go to the We'll go to the fuel page, make sure we got the fuel we need for this flight ready to come on board. We'll just pump that up to 500. Payload, same thing. We'll just bring that right on in. Looks like we've got a full flight. Services, we want to make sure. Let's just get the jet bridge out, since we need to get on the plane as pilots and crew. And then once we actually start the loading process, it'll do what it needs to do. All right. Hola de Costa Rica. Welcome, Victoria. Been a while since we've been down to Costa Rica. But we were there a few months ago on this world tour. Really nice. All right, let's see. Let's get the checklist up here. Cockpit. I can't speak. Save my life. Cockpit preparation. We're not ready for that yet. So let's go through and just get things. We'll do this bottom panel to start. I always like to turn up the integrated lighting. Make sure our speed brakes and our flaps are retracted. Parking brake is set. Gear pin, gravity gear extension is in the proper position. Cockpit door isn't locked yet. We have normal ignition. Engine master switch is off. Throttle's in the idle position. We'll turn up the displays and everything, since it will be we are flying in daylight. Anti-skid nose wheel steering on, and landing gear is in the down position. We go over here, turn up the PFD and the ND as well. We'll do that for the first officer. Obviously, in reality, the first officer would just do this themselves. Back over here, same thing with glare shield. I just like to have all the lights going so I can see things are lit up. I guess they do. Yeah, kind of a 3-point harness. But they only wear this on takeoff and landing, I believe. Obviously, during the rest of the flight, they're going to be... They take that off as soon as they're up. Let's see. So let's go up to the upper panel right now. We're gonna go right through here. Wipers are off. Ground control, actually, first we want to turn on the batteries. So, 1. Turn off that mute. Battery 2 on. Internal power. Okay, ground control on. All these we want to make sure are in the on position. The ground proximity warning. Emergency electrical power. Test. All that's on. Evac. Flight controls. Now we got a fault there. There we go. We want to make sure the flight controls are all on. Go up here to the ADIRS panel. Nav 1, 2, and 3 on. Up here, make sure we can turn on we want this cockpit door video on. PA 0 ADIRS on battery. Wait for that to go off. Should go off eventually. There it goes. I believe we can go further up on here. Just checking anything here if we need the reading light. We do not. Making sure all of our circuits are in the proper position. ELT. Not sure if that does a test or anything. A number of things we can check up there. Haven't done it a lot. Right back up on this panel, we'll do the APU fire test. And the engine fire test. Coming down, all the pumps are off for now. We can actually turn the fuel pumps on. Go through here, we can see we have the Gen 1, Gen 2 faults because the engines are not on yet. Same thing with the packs. We don't have anything because we haven't gotten the APU going. Give us our APU bleed, which will pull in air for air conditioning, which is what we'll do as soon as we get down to the bottom of this panel. Right, wing, we don't need anti-ice yet. We'll just keep this in auto position. Cabin pressure is in auto. We'll turn on the strobe light to automatic. Wing, nav logo lights on. Hit that master switch. I like to get the integrated. I just like to have the orange lighting up here. Lights everything up. We can do our light test. All the lights. Turn that off. Seatbelt signs not yet. No smoking auto. And emergency lights armed. Should be doing right now is we should have gotten pulled over the fuel truck. So that before we get too far along, we do need quite a bit of fuel, about 10 minutes worth.
Refueling truck is on its way. Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
PSX just doesn't like to open the menu very well. Let's get catering service as well. So we should be aligning the navigation. APU is available, or flap is open, so we can get that started. And I'm going to kind of regret this, that I still haven't updated my flight database. Keep forgetting to do that.
Are on their way.
Go to a init page, request this from SimBrief. And everything should be matching up. We'll just open up our SimBrief panel right here. Pull up the flight plan. All right, American Airlines 308. We're in the A320 Neo, Miami to Bermuda. And our alternate is Kilo Echo Charlie Golf. That's in North Carolina. Flight level 370. Cost index of 12 and flight time going to be 2 hours 9 minutes. Ground temperature 15 degrees. It's saying 25 right there. That in. Go to the next page. And we can actually right away pull in this information. I usually wait until we're actually loaded, but we don't need to wait. We can actually just look on our payload page. See, we're going to be, once we're loaded, 33.82%. Zero fuel weight, 58.9. Here. 58.9. And percentage 33.8. Okay, black fuel, we're going to need. Pull the sim panel again. And payload, black fuel, we're going to go 10.5. We're just going to round that up. Alright, let's get the clearance so we can do our calculations for takeoff.
Miami clearance, American 308, gate, Golf 4, request clearance to LF Wade with information, Sierra.
American 308, clear to LF Wade via those 2, Zulu Foxtrot Papa, departure, runway, 08 right, initial climb.
Yeah, it's the fuel truck coming over right there. Might be it.
6551.
Cleared to LF Wade via those 2, Zulu Foxtrot Papa, departure, runway, 08 right, initial climb, 3000, then as filed, squawk, 6551, American 308.
American 308, redback correct, when ready, contact Miami ground, 121.8.
When ready, contact Miami ground, 121.8, American 308.
Alright, heading 92 degrees, that is our takeoff. We are cleared for Fouls 2. Jump back in here, go to our flight plan. And you can see we got that Zulu Foxtrot Papa, that's the transition. We'll go on Miami. Departure, runway 08 right. Basel 2. Bowls 2. And transition is going to be that Zulu Foxtrot Papa. Insert. Should be all right.
Fuel truck is in position.
All right,
Please
fuel
don't
truck.
load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
All right, we'll kind of watch these guys do their fuel thing to start here. I was hoping to do 2 flights tonight, but I think we're only going to get the 1 in because it started so late. We'll fly out to Bermuda, and then on a Saturday evening, we'll fly out back to New York, and then possibly New York to Dallas. I really don't think that little running that he does there is safe. First flight was done by a Stinson SM-1FS Detroiter, first flight from US to Bermuda. Oh. There he goes, plugging in the fuel pumps, pretty cool. And what's really
Please
cool is
use your airplane fuel system to
It'll
set
act-
the desired fuel quantity.
it'll actually give us like how much fuel's going in and then how much it costs at the end. I think it's about $6-7 a gallon for fuel. We need to go over here for the fuel and play. You can see it's starting to pump up. Not really any good position to be from within the plane. Those numbers starting to go up. All right, let's continue. Let's get a few more things done before passengers start coming over. Oh, is there a way for me to just do the cargo first? Kind of get that going. We'll start getting boarding really soon. Go back to the init page. We want to do our, want to get that headwind in or the winds in. That's going to be on the weather page. Right there, plus 50, 050, tailwind, and all we need that page. Jumping over to my calculator on the other screen. I think I have a there's a calculator. We can get a checklist. So here's the calculator. Cut off some of this. We don't need it all. Alright, so we're going to be taking off runway 8 right. Got our temperature 25, dry. Takeoff weight is saying 69.2. Packs on, engine bleeds on. And we can actually make sure I jump up top for a second here, turn on the APU. There we go. Alright, 60 degrees, 9 knots for the wind, 30.07 for our, the barometric pressure. Let's do the calculations. You see we got our config 1 for the flaps. Flex takeoff temperature is going to be 67 degrees. 1100 for the engine out. And we got our V speeds 151, 152, and 157. Alright, we're good there. I think that's all we need to do setting up. So we are good. Kind of pull that checklist up right again. And that's going to give us fuel quantity, takeoff data set, barometric reference is not yet set. Let's put that in. Which are is okay. So pretty much ready for things to get going here. So let's get the passengers loading up.
Boarding requested.
Nope, we're already on board. Works all right. Yeah. getting acclimated back to the night shift, and I'll have 2 more night shifts here, and then I'll have to switch back to days. So this is probably gonna be have maybe 1 or 2 more night streams like this, which is kind of nice. I like doing the night streams, but it'll be nice to get back just on a normal day schedule for everything else. Passengers should be board. I screwed it up. Nope, there they are, 174. For some reason, cargo switched back to 0. You see them loading in. And they actually come in kind of in a normal sequence there. Alright, so there's the bill. Actually see it right there. Let's get over by the fuel before they take off. There's the bill, 1,096, something like that. $1,096 for our fuel bill. Nice and expensive, so they're gonna get everything disconnected. Walk through the engine. Pretty cool that things work pretty decently on the GSX Pro. Great. The integration with the A320X and GSX Pro is actually pretty good now, for the most part. Passengers still coming on. See, and really cool the way they actually come on using the fly-by-wire. You see them coming on from the rear, and then the last passengers are forward. Looks like this plane's only, I guess the fly-by-wire is only 1 class. I'm not sure if I can change that somewhere. Different way I can, I don't see it. I'm sure there is a setting somewhere where I can possibly change how many classes there are for the loading on. Hello. Only a few more passengers to go. Not sure where the cargo is, if we have any cargo for that matter. Hopefully it doesn't glitch out on us. Because all the passengers are on board. Seatbelt sign on. We'll go no smoking as well. Back in the flight computer, I just want to do a double check of our flight plan. Get up, we got Foals 2. Taking that to Zulu Foxtrot Papa right there, big one. Get rid of that discontinuity. Going to Badger, direct to Connor. Then Mike 328 Airway. Taking that to Antig. And then Popop 1 is going to be our arrival in Bermuda. So let's get that in. ILS, we'll do ILS Yankee. They'll probably give us another one. We'll plan on Yankee, but it might be Zulu. Not sure. You just want to get a rough estimate in. Looks good there. Jump back in. Performance page. Once again, we got flaps 167, 1100 for our engine. 151, 152, 157 for the V2 speed. Radio navigation, we have the ILS. We don't need anything else really for our takeoff. Yeah, okay, there comes the luggage. Passengers is just gonna have to wait a little bit. That's what I was wondering why if we could get the luggage to come earlier. We can actually pull away the jetway at this point, since we're done with the loading up. Alright, so let's do a little briefing. I don't want to make this chart bigger. Make this bigger, so these are some of the things I kind of wanted to do as we were going along. So here's our flight plan. We're gonna be flying out of, let's see if I can turn on the world map for now. Alright, so we're taking off out of Miami. We're gonna be going on the Pulls to departure. And then we're going to fly to Zulu Foxtrot Papa. I'm not sure why these are in two different places. But it's out there in Bahamas. Then we'll fly to Badger, Connor, Toledo, Graham, Casney, Mako to Antig, and then we'll be in on the Popop 1 Star. We'll fly to Tootie, it looks like, and then we will have our approach that we should get from flight control over there, ATC in Bermuda. Okay, let's look at the airport so we know where we're going to be pushing back once we are ready to go. So we're taking off runway 08 all the way over there, so we're going to anticipate we're going to be pushing back. We're going to get our tail to the right. We're going to kind of push back into Gate Hotel 7, I think. 9. Can't really tell on there. It's too small. But we're going to push back over here. We're going to come out 21. And we'll likely get Papa. We'll either get Papa or Quebec for our taxi out. We'll take that. It'll just be a straight shot all the way out to runway 08. So it should be a very easy taxi call once we get it. I doubt we'll have to cut through here or anything. Go straight out. That'll be nice. We'll probably get Tango here. I think this is Tango that actually goes in. We'll go Tango and then up to Papa or Quebec. But basically going there. Check out the chart for the instrument departure. We have our departure frequency 119.45. Transition altitude is 18,000. Right. Need radar, jet aircraft only. Yep. Hotas transition for Freeport arrivals only. That's not us. Snaggy and Sumar transition. No. Right. Good there. Be easy. So we're taking off 92 degrees. We're going to make a turn to 124 degrees out to Jamba and Kabola. And then a turn to 54 degrees out to Mark. Then a slight adjustment of 60 degrees to Foals. And then on to Zulu Foxtrot Papa at 70 degrees. It doesn't look like we have any restrictions for altitude. The initial climb. Alright, here it is. Climb on heading 92 degrees. We intercept course 124 to Jamba. Then on track 124 to Kabola. Then on track 54 to cross Mark at 5,000. Okay, so right there it is. Mark's 5,000. So We are cleared to 3,000. We're going to cross mark at 5,000, and then it doesn't look like there's any limitations after. Routing from mark on track 60 to fulls, then on transition maintain 5,000. Expected clearance to filed altitude within 10 minutes after departure. So 10 minutes after departure, should be out past mark, and then we'll get our clearance up to 37,000, I mean. Alright. We're just waiting on the cargo baggage. Like we are just about done there. Good, so get GSX to start sending over the tug. Yep, working the night shift, watching the last few nights I've just been binging, you know, since it's been slow. I've been watching
Hello, Captain.
Sci-Man Dan over on YouTube. He does a lot of flat earth debunking videos, which is kind of funny just watching the flat earthers. It's like, do you know how math works, or how, like, the one, and I'll probably look at some of these while we're flying. One that gets me is the flat earth people like to use airline routes as proving flat earth, and they just don't understand how airline routes work, and I'll kind of go into that once we are up in the air, because it's a pretty easy concept yeah, I mean, I don't know if they just are dumb, or if these people are, you know, grifters, and they're just warping, you know, people don't know better and they're listening going, that makes sense. It's like, no, it doesn't. Just, and I'll kind of show you what I mean when we get up in the air.
Locking gear.
All right, before start, checklist: windows and doors are closed. Beacon light is on. Thrust levers are in the idle position. Parking brake as required.
Arm doors and cross check.
Audio, we're gonna turn off the announcement. Alright, so I actually went in and edited. You can actually edit the parking positions with GSX Pro, and you can actually edit the pushbacks. I actually got rid of the other pushback. We only have two options here, really: a straight pushback, or we're gonna go to the right. Nose left and tail right. So that's what we're gonna do. It should work.
Release parking brakes.
Alright, release parking brakes.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Okay, start at will, so we're gonna go, how do I start the engines in this one? Oops, NRC, that's right. Over here, ignition, starting engine 2. Safety video.
Welcome to your American Airlines flight. On its way to one of 350 destinations.
In countries across the globe.
Made possible by our more than 130,000 dedicated team members.
Who all do it for one reason. You!
That's why your safety is so important to us. So let's go over some in-flight instructions so that we can get you safely on your way.
The draw distance wasn't so bad.
Insert the metal end into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. To open, lift the top of the buckle.
Set parking brakes.
If you're seated in the premium cabin and your seat is also equipped with a shoulder belt, fasten the belt by attaching it to the buckle until
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
If you're seated in the premium cabin and your seat is equipped with a push button, insert the metal end into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. Then fasten your shoulder belt by attaching it to the buckle until you hear a click.
Alright, we do have good
To
engine
open,
starts.
simply press on the button.
Next
The
open.
shoulder belt must be worn during taxi,
On pitch and
takeoff,
ground.
and
We have a
landing.
good engine.
Starting
And
engine
remember,
1.
You can
seatbelts
disconnect.
should be fastened whenever you're seated in case of unexpected turbulence. Now, make sure your seat is upright. All larger electronic devices are put away, carry-ons are placed all the way under the seat in front of you, and your tray table is stowed. Larger carry-on luggage goes in the overhead bin. If you have a handheld device, please switch it to airplane mode now. If your electronic device falls into your seat, please do not adjust your seat and contact a crew member for assistance. U.S. law prohibits smoking, including e-cigarettes at any
Unlocking
time.
gear.
Tampering with, disabling, or destroying smoke detectors in the lavatories may result in a fine. U.S. law requires all to comply with lighted and posted signs and crew member instructions.
I've never heard that noise.
Now let's
A
review
little
the safety
woof.
card in your seat pocket, which
Must be the
explains
disconnecting.
the safety features of this airplane, including the location and operation of
Tow
exits
truck
and
disconnected.
flotation
Bypass
devices.
bin removed.
This aircraft is designed
Alright,
with the
engine
safety high
1
and
coming up.
floor. In
Flight
the
directors
event
both
of an
on.
evacuation,
Double
leave
checking
all
that.
carry-ons behind and follow the lights quickly and safely to the nearest exit. A sign will indicate you have reached your exit. All exits on this airplane are clearly marked. Take a moment to locate the nearest one. Keep in mind, it may be behind you. All door exits have evacuation slides to use in the unlikely
Alright,
event
after
of an
start,
emergency.
anti-ice
In
is
a water
required. We're not going to need it.
evacuation,
ECAM
slides may
status.
be used as
Check.
life rafts. You'll find
Here.
the exact location on your safety card. When directed to exit, jump onto the
That is
slide
normal.
and move away
Pitch
from the
trim
airplane.
set. Rudder trim
If the cabin
0.
loses pressure, oxygen masks will drop automatically. While remaining seated with your seatbelt fastened,
Here.
pull down on the mask or the red
This.
streamer to start the flow of
Go
oxygen.
normal ignition.
Place the mask over your nose and mouth, and put the elastic
We got the
band over your
little
head.
tag.
Then pull the straps to
Runway,
tighten
turn off light
and
taxi
breathe
lights
normally.
on. APU
Remember
can
to
come
always
off.
put your own mask on first before helping others.
Double check that
Light
electrical.
vests are located
It's coming
under,
through the
next to,
generators
or
right
between
now.
your seat. For help locating
Hydraulics
them, see
look
your safety
good.
card.
Fuel.
To remove the vest, pull the
Bleed.
tab or compartment handle to break the seal. Remove the
Engine.
vest from the package like this. Put the vest
Air
over your
conditioning
head,
looks good.
wrap the
APU
strap around your waist,
should be
attach the
coming
buckle,
down.
and pull tight. Once outside, pull the tab to inflate your vest or blow into the red tube. In the water, a light on your vest will automatically illuminate. If necessary,
Well,
an
flu-
infant life vest
flu-
will be
flu
distributed
controls.
by a crew
Flight
member.
controls,
The
we're gonna
safety
do
card
that.
shows how to use it.
It's our honor
here.
to care for you on your journey. If you have any
And elevators
questions,
full forward.
please refer to the safety card or
Full
feel free to
back.
ask any of the cabin
Neutral.
crew as they do their final cabin
Aileron
check.
left.
And as always,
Neutral.
let us know if there's anything we
Full
can
right.
do to make your journey more enjoyable.
Neutral. Rudder full left. Neutral. Neutral.
American Airlines. We
Full
fly
right.
so you can soar.
Neutral. Brakes. Hey, flight controls checked. Flight instruments checked. Briefing confirmed. Flaps setting. Make sure we got that set. Flaps 1. Flaps checked. V1, V rotate, V2, and flex temperature checked. ATC set. Cam memo, takeoff no blue. Back down here. If I can get thing. Alright, so max auto brakes. Spoilers armed. Do a cabin check. Got to request pushback and startup from ATC, so let's do that. Quick.
Golf 4. Request pushback and startup.
American 308, pushback and startup approved.
Pushback and startup approved. American 308.
My RIT is out. Not seeing it out. Shouldn't be out. I know we had that issue on the CRJ where I hit a button and suddenly that little fan was out.
Miami
taxi
ground,
clearance?
American 308. Request taxi.
American 308, taxi to holding point, runway 08 right via 20 Tango Papa Mike.
Taxi to holding point. Runway 08 right via 20 Tango. Papa Mike. American 308.
Okay, we're not going via 20, we're going via 21. As you can see right there, it's 21, not 20. 20 is if we're in Concourse F. Or on the other side of Concourse G at least. Or on this side, so. Alright. Got our clearance. Release the parking brake. And away we go. Tango to Papa. So Papa's going to be basically the first right turn here. Here, actually. Got a few international planes right here. Air Turkey, or Turkish Air, I mean. Turkish Airlines. It's Turkish Air, Turkish Airlines. Air France, pretty cool. I don't know how much we'll see in Bermuda, but yeah, this flight will be pretty nice. These American flights, we get a little bit more variety. Obviously going to a few bigger airports. Won't be going to the biggest or the busiest airport in the world. We'll have to get a flight into Atlanta at some point. I think over there on the left is cargo. That area over there on our left side. That's Cargo City over on the left. That's probably, I think that's Atlas Air right there. Ooh. Amazing how much speed this plane will pick up just on idle. Fire station right there. The only problem with FSLTL, which is what I'm using for the other traffic, is that it's live, and so I'm flying, you know, it's 1 in the morning in Miami in real time, and so you're not seeing a lot of traffic moving around, despite us having a noon time right here. Will be the holding point. Yes, no? Not giving me the option to fall. Might want us turned here. Did say to go to Mike. Actually. Gonna do a little jog.
08, contact Miami Tower 118.3.
Contact Miami Tower 118.3. American 308.
Figure out why I couldn't get turned. Go. Alright. Takeoff light. And I read that. Thanks for the follow, virtual Southwest Airlines. Pretty cool, Southwest Airlines. I'm gonna have to. I need to get on a virtual airline at some point. Probably once I'm done with doing this world tour, I'm gonna want to get into a virtual airline and start doing flights that way. That'll be pretty cool. All right, let's get just a trim like that. All right, turn that on. Tara, radar, and top. We need our lights once we get our clearance.
Miami Tower, American 308.
Oh, thanks for the follow, virtual Southwest Airlines.
Ready for departure. American 308, line up, runway 08 right. Line up, runway 08 right. American 308.
Amazing how this plane just rolled. Why? Oh.
American 308.
What am I doing?
0 degrees at 9 knots. Runway 08 right. Cleared for takeoff.
My plane is fighting me.
Runway
I had to.
08
For some reason, I had a
takeoff,
thrust in
American
the.
308.
I find the hardest thing to do in Flight Simulator lately is taxi the A320X. I don't know why. Really, because I don't have a good tiller. All right. Hey. Our flex. Position right there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing? I'm putting in rudder, but I'm putting in the rudder the wrong way. Oh my goodness. Oh no, 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 no. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing wrong? What is going on here? I switched my rudder pedals because I had them on the reverse, and so that's what. All right, let's try this again. That is pretty embarrassing. What is going on with my tiller? There we go. Put the tiller right. Yeah, I'm confusing myself because what I've been doing, which is the opposite of how rudders actually work. What am I doing? So the way I've had my rudders set up, and oh, this is terrible. I've had my rudders set up is where I've been pulling. So if I want to turn right, I will pull right. I'll pull my feet back to the right, you know, my right rudder back, but you know, and kind of push left, right? Which is not how it is in real life. You're pushing if you want the left rudder, you push. If you want the right rudder, you push. And I'm doing the opposite still because my brain is wired that way now. There we go. I really shouldn't be doing a ton of rudder anyway, but I have to do everything the opposite of what I've been doing for a long time here in Flight Simulator. Okay, so if I want to turn right, I need to push my legs forward. I need to push my rudder forward to the right. Again, the opposite of the way I've had it set up, but I believe it's actually the way your rudders really actually are. It's counterintuitive, or at least counterintuitive to me, the way I've had it set up, and I knew that this was going to be a problem. Alright. Well, let's see if we can take off, because, like I said, I have my... I want to go left, so I want to push... If you set something up, but then you try to do the complete opposite, you have a lot of trouble. Okay, let's make sure this is centered. There we go. Alright. Let's try this takeoff again. Let's hopefully not go off into the grass. Also feels like the sensitivity is too high again. E1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Goodness, what is my frame rate here? No, I would say this taxiway. Let's say in here I need to land ASAP because that RAT is out, and I don't know why that is out. What I did wrong there. I'm hoping that's not going to actually affect anything. Why is my frame so bad today? It's really bad. Huh. Well, of course, now Flight Simulator is going to be acting. There we go. Oh, why is it running so poorly? Stadium over there.
American 308, contact Miami, departure 119.45. Contact Miami, departure 119.45. American 308. Miami departure, American 308, Fosu, departure at 3000.
American 308, radar contact, continue climb 5000, altimeter 3007.
Continue climb 5000, American 308.
Alright, climbing 5,000. I don't know. I think that RAT is out because I did probably hit something one of these. Hope that doesn't actually affect anything. Except for we'll just have that message. Oh well. I've done that before where I've accidentally gotten the RAT out, I think on the CRJ. Now on the CRJ you can actually see the fan sticking out. Doesn't look like we're seeing it now. Oh, look at that reflection. Beautiful. Oh man. Miami looks really good today.
American 308, maintain 5000, contact Miami, center 125.7.
Maintain
Water.
5000, contact
Look at
Miami,
that.
center
Beautiful.
125.7, American 308. Miami Center, American 308, Fosu, departure
altimeter 3007.
Maintain 5,000, American 308.
Got to turn that strobe light on. Alright, after takeoff, landing gear is up. Flaps retracted, packs on. Parametric reference set. Takeoff briefing complete. Actually, I have that checklist there. There's also a checklist in here, which is pretty cool. And this. Same checklist, just have it on a different screen. This one's actually a little bit more comprehensive. Doesn't have an after takeoff land or after takeoff one either. Alright, so we're at 5,000. We're on the departure. And we are headed right now to Mark. Mark, we need to cross it at 5,000 feet. And then we'll get our clearance up to, all up to our, sorry about those flickering screens. Up to our cruise of 37,000. Alright, so 16, 20, 16.5 minutes.
Martin F7122, heavy, radar contact, expect Mike Tango Hotel, Val 3, arrival, ILS,
Martin Air, we did the Martin Air, the cargo.
Ready for descent.
That out in,
Mike Tango Hotel,
somewhere in the Caribbean.
Alpha Lima 3, arrival, ILS, approach, runway, 09, report when ready for descent, 7122, heavy.
Sim rate 1.
Alright, so I might use, but I might not, because this isn't, probably just do this one flight tonight, but I might use some sim rate, go to 2 times sim maybe, but I might not. I got other things I can do. So, chat with you guys, of course. Once we get up to, once we start climbing to our cruise, I want to kind of take some look at, I want to do. So I've been watching a flat Earth, debunking flat Earth So not videos, you know, debunking the globe Earth, but actually debunking flat Earth. And it's just been so funny because the one that's been popping up that I've seen, I mean, amongst all the weird ones, but the one I've been seeing that kind of frustrates me the most is the one that has to do with the flat earthers. They point to airlines, like flights, proving that the Earth isn't round. And I'll show you what I mean once we get up to start climbing to our cruise and everything.
Arrival, Delta Hotel Qatar, ILS, approach, runway 08 right, report when ready for descent.
But it's just amazing watching them try to prove this, because it's not what they think. Alright,
United 2317, maintain, flight level 330. Maintain, flight level 330, United 2317.
still climbing out, or not climbing out yet, just still at this
Air Canada 092, heavy radar contact, maintain, flight level 360. American 308, climb and maintain, 14,000.
There it is.
Climb and maintain, 14,000, American 308.
Maintain, flight level 360, Air Canada 092, heavy.
Hey, Virtual SWA, are you with Virtual Southwest Airlines? Are you like the guy running it, or? I think I've been part of a few virtual airlines in my time, but it's kind of it's always gotten away from me, and it's, you know, I tend to want to, you know, especially with this world tour flight, but at some point I do want to kind of do something virtual airline. Southwest Airlines wouldn't be a bad one, especially if I want to just do a lot of domestic U.S. flights. And get to fly the PMDG 737 a lot. That. Alright, landing lights off. We'll turn off the seatbelt signs as well. We're in a nice stable climb.
Flight level 240, United 2317. Miami Center, SkyQ 4551, Heavy, Mater 1, departure at 5,000.
4551, Heavy, radar contact, maintain 5,000, altimeter 30.
Making our adjustment to 70 degrees right here at Fulls, headed to Zulu Foxtrot Papa right there on the Freeport VFR. That's what that Freeport was on the on that chart for our departure. That's we in the Bahamas, right ahead of us. SkyCube. We just had a SkyCube call sign over the radio. What is SkyCube? SkyCube. Sky Lease Cargo, it looks like.
United 1388, radar contact, expect Oscar Mike November, any fall, arrival, Delta Hotel to Park.
And of course, the first picture I find is it's actually up a 747, a cargo 747 off the runway in Halifax. They vacated the runway, not to a taxiway, just vacated the runway. Alright, coming up on Zulu Foxtrot Papa right there. Check to make sure everything's right. Yep. What a standard pressure. We're going to ignore this because, again, the rat's out and it really isn't, or it is, but not really. Doesn't really affect anything on this plane. In reality, we would land ASAP. But clicked a few too many buttons while we were doing the testing on the ground. Beautiful. Grand Bahama coming up on. Well, Southwest, Virtual Southwest came in here. Gave a nice follow. So I'm kind of looking, I'm assuming Virtual Southwest Airlines is with Virtual Southwest Airlines. And I'm kind of just checking it out to see this.
2317, descended, maintain 15,000, altimeter 3008.
Descend and maintain 15,000, United 2317.
American 308, climb and maintain, flight level 320.
Climb and maintain, flight level 320, American 308.
United 2317, speed Oscar Mike November, any fall, arrival, altimeter 3008.
Clear Oscar Mike November, any fall, arrival, United 2317.
Beautiful today. I mean, I haven't flown in like a week, and now flying over a lot of these areas here during the day, everything just looks really good. But I suppose that's just stepping away from the sim for a week. Not really stepping away, just not able to because I was busy with work and sleeping and everything else. All right, yeah, so I'm just looking at Virtual Southwest Airlines here. Wow, they have a pretty nice pay scale over Virtual Southwest Airlines. $100 an hour for a trainee. Nice, $25 a flight. Trips are available based on the assigned crew base, making access to trips the only operational reason to transfer to another base. Kind of cool.
Sky Q 4551 heavy, climb and maintain 14,000.
Climb and maintain 14,000. Sky Q 4551 heavy.
Yeah, I like the one thing I've noticed when I do a lot of the virtual airlines I've joined, it is very ad hoc. You can just kind of pick like, oh, I want to fly from point A to point B, and basically it's just they have an A-car system that tracks your flight, and that's about it. Now, I'm sure there are more than just Southwest, but this is the first one where I've seen them really talk about how it's like, yeah, you're going to have a assigned crew base, which is pretty cool because then most of your flights are going to originate out of there, and then you're going to get a schedule. You're going to get a 3-day trip, and I guess you have to, or the goal is a pilot should try to do a whole trip, a 3-day, 4-day trip or whatever, and whatever number of legs that is. Southwest, that'd probably be 4 or 5 legs at least on a 3-day trip, probably 7 or 8 legs or more, to do that within a year. And I guess, for someone like me, yeah, that'd be what it would be, because being able to fly, I can only fly like once or twice a week, maybe get a couple flights in, especially Southwest flights, shorter ones like that, depending on the length, I suppose. I'm going to keep an eye on that, because I wish I could kind of see. I don't want to join right now just because, I suppose I always could and do that one flight a month at this point and then increase it. I kind of wanted to start a series where I was flying Southwest Airlines flights. Also have to decide if I want to join Southwest Airlines. Okay, you can fly offline, but you have to use the A-car system. If you're flying on VATS, and you don't need to use it, I guess. Ooh.
American 308, climb and maintain, flight level 370.
I maintain flight level 370, American 308, sorry.
413, heavy, radar contact, descend and maintain, flight level 400. Descend and maintain, flight level 400, 413.
Whew, look at that. Alright, so we're doing our climb. I'm gonna go with this view for now. And I want to find some of these videos because they're just hilarious.
Jet 133, radar contact, descend and maintain, flight level 340. Descend and maintain, flight level 340, JetBlue Q133.
Now, am I gonna be able to actually find it? See, I'm searching, and all I'm finding are like the people. Let me graphics. Let's just talk. I know they're out here.
Airframe 095, heavy radar contact, climb and maintain 14,000, altimeter 3007.
Climb and maintain 14,000, airframe 095, heavy.
Come on, why? Ugh. Show me the flights. Okay, well, I can't find any here. Might be it. Actually, I should go to the one where I saw it. But it's crazy. Just if I can just find it. Let's see. Dan. And I'll try to click on links to some of these videos. Not trying to really steal his gig here, but I think it's pretty cool. And it's one when, especially for us in the flight sim community or in the real flying community, we kind of have we're kind of always looking at airline flights and stuff, and we know how it works. Let's see if we can find. I watched a video, so there we go. How long-haul flights destroy flat Earth. I want to see the original. That guy's name. Actually, if I search him directly, I might be able to find his videos, and then we can kind of chuckle at them. Definitely not subscribing to you, dude. Well, maybe I do subscribe to you and check it out. Okay, let's see if this... Where is my internet? There we go. Okay. So here we go. Let's... Off the music. Don't need that. We're gonna take a listen. Just try to get the different volumes down a little bit.
Supposed proof often offered up by globe debaters involves alleged time and path issues with long-haul southern hemisphere flights. For example, the direct flight route from Sydney, Australia to Santiago, Chile takes an average of only 13 hours to reach its destination, a duration which globe earthers claim is impossible over a flat Earth. They say that since the Sydney to Santiago flights with US stopovers take twice as long to reach their destinations as the non-stop flights, that this proves the direct flights are not traversing the US and could not be completed so quickly over a flat Earth. As with all globe arguments, however, this hasty conclusion does not follow from spherical Earth. Now, even conceding this point, excuse that Antarctica is too cold to fly over shortest. Now, even conceding this point, if Earth were truly a sphere, then the second shortest route for all such flights would be a straight shot due east or west over the Pacific, staying in the southern hemisphere for the entire flight. Refueling could even be done in New Zealand or other southern hemisphere destinations along the way, if necessary. In reality, however, 99% of Santiago to Sydney and other long-haul southern hemisphere flights admittedly cross the equator twice, going high into the northern hemisphere, making stopovers at LAX and other North American airports before continuing back down to the southern hemisphere.
Okay, so here's the frustrating part. So a common flat Earth argument is, why do we have flights that fly from, for example, Santiago to Sydney? Why do these flights all not go directly from Santiago to Sydney? Why do these southern hemisphere flights have to fly up to Los Angeles and then back down, or up to London and then back down? Okay, this is very simple. It's so simple, it's just stunningly stupid how simple it is. Okay, let's go to flight aware first. We'll go to flight aware and we'll see if this works. We can find a flight. So we're going to go from Sydney.
Airframe 095, heavy, climb and maintain, flight level 320.
Sydney to, where are we going? Santiago. Santiago, which is gonna be this one, right? Delay. Okay. Well, let's find what flights are available to fly from Sydney to Santiago. Now, oftentimes what you'll also see is flat earthers will only mention the flights that fly from. They'll mention they'll mention one-stop flights, which are not direct flights for one very clear reason. But here we have a number of flights. We don't even have any flights that fly, at least that have been flying recently. I'm sure there is still flights that do this, but that fly to LAX. But okay, here's a direct flight. Now, if you're going to try to make your argument that, oh, well, the Earth is flat and these flights don't make any sense, okay, then explain this flight right here, okay? We have a nonstop flight between Sydney. They're like, there are no nonstop flights. Here's a nonstop flight. It's Qantas 27 on the 789. Let's check it out. 12 hours, 20 minutes is your total time. It's not showing me a route. Be nice to see an upcoming flight. Let's do a past flight. Past flight? Okay. So right there, this just blows it away. Look at how this flight goes. It actually goes down on a flat map because, again, you're following the globe, and so it goes down. Just like on the northern flights, if you're flying from, let's say, Chicago to Shanghai, like I did a number of times, or back, you fly up and then back down. You fly up and you get up over Alaska, but if you look on a globe, that's almost a straight line. But if you look on a flat map, it looks like you're doing this curve. Well, here again, you're on a flat map. It looks like you're doing this curve. And they're doing exactly what you would be doing on a direct flight between Sydney and Santiago on a globe. Okay, why does it do that? Because they're flying direct Sydney to Santiago. Okay, now this guy, you see we have the Sydney to Australia to LA to Santiago. I wonder why there's a flight from Sydney to LA and then LA to Santiago. I wonder why that's happening. Now, the thing with FlightAware is they will show you flights like that. Now it's not showing me anything here. So this one, for example, is showing me, this isn't giving me, oh, this is actually, okay, so this is showing me, are these all LATAM? This is going Sydney to Auckland. This is on LATAM? They must be like a code share, maybe. It was showing me Qantas. So we have this flight. Okay, why is this flight stopping in Auckland, right? Because they wanted to do a flight from Sydney to Auckland and then from Auckland on to Santiago. They're two separate flights. That's all it is. Let's use another example that you'll see a lot of times. No, so go back to this video. So what is he showing here? So for example, here's a flight, I guess, that you could find. I'm sure you could find this flight because I'm sure there are flights from Sydney to LA and then LA to Santiago. Here, let's go. Let's just even go, Expedia, right? I don't know, Expedia.com. Let's try Expedia. Okay, I want to fly Sydney going to, don't need the app, get rid of that. I want a flight. I'm leaving from Sydney. Can I spell Sydney? We're going Sydney to Santiago, Chile. Doesn't matter. I don't care when we're departing, returning. I might screw it up a little bit because it's probably going to take a little bit longer. And I'm going to look for cheapest flight, which is going to be it's going to have multiple stops. All right. So here's a great example. There it is. There it is. American Airlines, right? Okay. All these are American Airlines flights. Here we have one stop. There's that LATAM's flight that stopped. That LATAM Airlines that stops in Auckland. Now LATAM is out of South America, so it's going to fly to Santiago. But they're like, hey, we're going to fly to New Zealand, and then we're going to fly to Australia, and then we're going to fly to Australia to New Zealand and back. Right? We're going to hit a couple countries over here with our flights. Here you got United with stops in San Francisco and Houston. Why does it do that? Qantas, again, we have this one stop. Why? Well, why not, knock out, make a stop in New Zealand also, right? Okay, so I want the cheapest flight. Okay, so we're sorting by price lowest. Okay, this is what flat earthers probably do. They probably go right on here onto Expedia. They search a flight. They go, I want to fly from Sydney to Santiago. Oh, and this is what you'll see. They'll say, oh, there are no flights between Sydney and Santiago. Why not? There's no flights between Santiago or Sao Paulo, Brazil, and South Africa. Why is that? Oh, it's because the flat earth. No, because there are direct flights, as we just showed. Go back here and we'll show there is a direct flight. It's called Qantas 27, right there. It's a direct flight, 12-hour flight. All right. Why does this flight take 33 hours and 38 minutes? Why are there two stops? And you'll see on a lot of these videos, they'll be like, oh, they have to do a fuel stop. They have to do a fuel stop. But why would they do a fuel stop all the way up north? If you look at the globe, why would they go from Australia all the way up to the United States and then come all the way down to Santiago? Why would they do that? Or why would they fly all the way up to London and then all the way down to, or fly all the way to Dubai? Simple answer. Let's look at it. Here it is. So American Airlines. Where's American Airlines based? America, the United States of America, right? So if you look at an airline map of routes for an airline, we'll use American Airlines as the example. If I can find it. American Airlines routes. I think this is a third-party site, but it'll show us. Right, you can see they run on a hub system. If there a way I can make this apparent more? Can I remove the dots? Kind of cool if I could remove the dots, but I can't. You can see there's like hubs right there. There's Dallas, Fort Worth. Oh, there we go. So you can see out of Dallas, Fort Worth, everything goes out, right? Same thing with San Diego, Las Vegas to a certain extent, Los Angeles. Out of here. New York, right? So here's Sydney. Okay, what do you notice with American Airlines? Does American Airlines have a direct flight between Sydney and Santiago, Chile? No. Why? Because American Airlines is based in the United States. All the flights for American Airlines are going to be from point A to, it's going to go from the United States to some point on the globe, and then from that point on the globe back to that originating airport or to another airport. Sometimes there'll be maybe a few different lines from, for example, you can see right here in the Caribbean, you got a few places that will go to a couple of the hubs in American, but those are closer, right? The further you get, you're going to get one hub, right? Auckland, you're only flying Auckland to Dallas. If you want to do Sydney, Australia, and you want to fly American Airlines, you have to do it from LA. Oh my God, go away. Ads. Don't need that. Okay. So we can't fly from Sydney to Chile on American Airlines without a stop in LA. And in fact, we can't even do just a stop in LA. So for American Airlines, this is why you have two stops. We're going to be going Sydney to LA, but then we have to fly over to Houston. No, we have to fly to Dallas. We have to fly to Dallas Fort Worth, and then we can fly down to Chile. Now from Chile, we could fly back to Miami, right? So we could fly from LA to Miami as well. Option there. And they'll take us to Chile. But we're going to have to go back to the United States. That's why we have these flights that go from way down here, up here, and they do not go direct, because you're not taking a direct flight. You're taking 2 flights. You're taking 3 flights. You are going on Expedia, and you're saying, I want to go Sydney to Santiago. I want the cheapest flight. There's the cheapest flight. $1,836. Again, I'm looking for a flight for tomorrow or in a couple days here. So that's why it's really expensive. It's going to be expensive anyway. And let's look at the flight. What is the flight here? Don't need that. Can I just... No, I just want to... Can I just review the flight? Okay, we can kind of see what the flight is right here anyway. There's probably a better website where I can see this. But you can see right here, 5 hours, 24 minutes. We're flying to Los Angeles. We're going to sit in Los Angeles for 5 hours and 24 minutes. We're not sitting on the same plane. They're not refueling the plane. We're going to get off the plane. We're going to get our bags. Especially because we're going to be doing a domestic flight here. We're going to get our bags. We're going to check in again. Maybe because we're doing all American here, we don't have to, they'll just keep the bags in the system. Who knows? We'll have to go through customs, though, once we get in. And we're going to sit in Los Angeles 5.5 hours. A lot of that's going to be eaten up by the customs and the lines and all that. But we'll have a little bit of time to sit down, watch a few movies, maybe take a little cat nap. Then we're going to get on another plane. Probably a smaller plane. Like I said, I wish I could see this whole... What planes? We're going to get on a smaller plane, maybe a 737, maybe an A320. We're going to fly over to Dallas. Short flight, about 2-3 hour flight to Dallas. Then we're going to sit another couple hours there. Not really even sit, probably. Again, we'll have, depending on the lines. But we'll have a little bit of a layover. And we'll get on another plane. Probably a bigger plane. Probably a 789 or something, right? Possibly maybe an A320 or 737. It's not that long, depending on the length of the flight. And we will fly down to Santiago. We're going to take 4 flights, right? Sydney to Los Angeles, 3 flights, sorry. Sydney to Los Angeles to Dallas, Dallas to Santiago. We're taking 3 separate flights. These are 3 flights that are scheduled in the system as independent flights. They don't go together, but if you are buying a ticket and you're buying a package to go from Sydney to Santiago and you're trying to look for the cheapest things, the thing these websites do is they buy you the flights in order to do that, but you're getting on 3 separate flights, 3 separate flight numbers. So you're going to have different crews, you're going to have different captains and first officers. You're going to have to wait in line, get on again. They're going to have to take your bag off of one plane, put it through the system, put it on another plane. It's not simply a stopover to get fuel. They do not need to fly from Sydney to Los Angeles to get fuel to continue on to Santiago. That's not what's going on. This is what drives me nuts about these flat earthers. So he's probably looking, and I can't even see what airline he's looking at here. It looks like he's got these all checked out. I don't know what website he's looking at, but he might be he's probably looking at American Airlines here, even though American Airlines you'd have to do another stop to Dallas or to Miami to do this, which would again debunk his little point here. But even if it just went to LA, so there probably is an airline, one of the, maybe it might be United Airlines or something that does it. That does a flight from Sydney to LA LA to Sydney, Sydney to LA. It does one flight that does that, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It also does a flight from LA to Santiago, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Those are two different lines. They don't use the same plane. They don't use the same crew. Probably. Doubtful. They probably, well, they might. I don't know. But it's you're not sitting on the plane. You're not just coming in, landing in LA. They're hooking up the fuel truck, fueling you up so you can go on your way. That's not how it works. It's not what's happening. These are separate flights. But the flat earther goes, this flight makes no sense on a globe Earth. Or it makes no sense on a globe Earth. Why would they do this flight route? This makes no sense. It proves the flat Earth, because on the flat Earth, you'd fly from Sydney, and if you went a straight line between Sydney and Santiago, land in LA for a fuel stop. We figured it out. Except I'm sure, now again, I'd have to look this up. I'm sure we could figure this out. There's probably flights. I'm 100% sure there are probably flights we could find that don't fit this pattern. Let's try to think of one. I know there's probably got to be some flights. Trying to think of some flights we could look at. Let's see, Chicago to Shanghai. Okay, so Chicago, Shanghai. Yeah, they ignore the direct flights, right? Well, direct flight. If I'm going Chicago to Shanghai on a flat Earth, I'm just going to go over the North Pole, right? But I don't. We go over this way. We go around, right? Why would we do that? There's so many flights that if you look at the flight path, are they well, they're lying. NASA's lying. It's all that. So you can see American does that. Let's look at another flight they like to bring up a lot. This is probably Santiago. Probably Santiago again. They love Santiago for some reason. And then we'll do Cape Town. Let's see if there's any direct flight. I might be wrong. But they always use examples where there are direct flights. Let's see. Find
American 308, maintain flight level 370, contact NY Center 128.
Wow, contact New York Center. Interesting.
Maintain flight level 370, contact NY Center 128.5, American 308. NY Center, American 308, inbound Delito at flight level 370.
Alright, so we're just over the ocean now. We got nothing below us.
308, radar contact, maintain flight level 370.
I'm gonna jump in here. Let's go into the cabin.
American 308.
Alright. So looking at the map again, looking at this kind of... We'll kind of look at this again.
Here are a few more examples. On a globe, Santiago, Chile to Johannesburg, South Africa should be an easy flight, all taking place below the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere.
It does.
Yet every listed flight makes a curious refueling stop in Senegal near the Tropic of Cancer.
Okay, it's not a refueling stop. They don't stop in Dakar to refuel. They don't need to stop in Dakar to refuel, is what I should say. Yes, if they're flying, maybe if they're flying a 737 or an A320 or a smaller plane, you can do a flight from Santiago to Johannesburg. You know how you do it? Right here. You'd follow this circle right here. And if you had a flat map that was a Mercator flat map, this is a flat map of the world is a really actually not a terrible map to have. It doesn't mean the world is flat, because if you look at this map, if you notice, it's really weird how the flat earthers believe in a round world, because all they've done is they've taken the world and just squished it. Instead of having a globe, you have this weird, you have this flat earth map, which is a totally legitimate map to have. It actually really helps visualize what's happening when you're doing a flight. When you see these weird maps where you got the curves, right, to show, for example, to show the path of the International Space Station goes up and down, up and down, and up and down. The night and day cycle does that like loop thing, right? Because we're looking at a flat map, which is representing a globe. If you have this, you can actually do things a little bit more. It almost makes a little bit more intuitive sense, right? If you're flying from, get a great example, Santiago to Johannesburg, you know what they're going to do? They're going to fly right here, this line. That's probably what they would fly. Barring, obviously, if they have to avoid things and there's certain, little bit. But it's mostly going to be a direct line on this circle right here. Just like up here, if I'm going Chicago to London, for example, it's going to look like this on the map. That's what it's going to look like. You know, with a little bit kind of going up, depending on the track over the ocean too. If I'm flying like, you know, Chicago and I'm flying to Moscow or something, might go, boom, right up over the North Pole, straight over, or, you know, something like that. It might not be a perfect circle, but you can kind of see what you would do. You know, and on a flat map of the globe, Mercator style, where it's not, you know, it's all warped a little bit to take a globe to make it a rectangle. Well, the flat Earth map, what it does is it just squishes it and makes it this circle, which is actually a great way to represent the world also. Not 100% accurate, but it allows you to see, oh yeah, here's Florida. If I would take a flight, if I wanted to go straight on the planet, you'd end up here in Africa, right? You don't think of that, because usually you see the flat Earth in your the flat map, rectangle map, which kind of confuses things. But again, why does this flight go from Santiago to Johannesburg? Now in the flat Earth map, it's like, oh, well, that's a straight line. And it is, except for these lines right here, these circles. You know, when you see these lines, you know why these lines are on here? Because they kept the same lines that are on the globe, and they just squished them. And it's like, you know why these lines are circular like this? Because, well, yeah, the world is circle on this, but it's because of the globe. Because in reality, this is actually, if you had a flat map, it'd go up and then come down. If you see this map anywhere else, if you see this flight, well, why is it going from Santiago to Dakar and then Dakar to Johannesburg? Because there's either not a direct flight from Santiago to Johannesburg, or there is, and you're not showing me it. Let's go take a look. So we want to go to Johannesburg. Let's see what flights we got for that. Okay, I got nothing. I am not on beta, Icebird. Nope, didn't switch to that yet. I've heard some... I kind of want to avoid doing anything beta right now. So we're not having any issues. I don't know why I put SU-12 in there. I put that in... Yeah, it might have been World Update 12. Well, no, World Update 12 just came out too. I put SU-12 in a long time ago. I don't know why. I think I meant 11 and I ended up with 12. Oh well. False advertisement, sorry. Unsubscribed. Unfollowed. Yeah, every time I see that, I'm like, why do I have SU-12? SU-12 hasn't come out yet. And World Update 12 just came out with New Zealand, so... Yeah, false advertising. But of course, that's all Twitch is, right? Alright. Yeah, so Icebird, if you just came in, I'm kind of looking at these... I've been following Cyman Dan on YouTube, and he does a lot of videos looking at flat Earth fails, which is really fun. And the one that's been getting me... The one that's gotten me is, yeah, this one where it's like the flight routes. And I've noticed with all these flight routes is that they're selectively picking routes that are not non-stop. Of course, you know, as you saw. Too many words, too much time for dumb people. Yep. Yeah, but it's amazing. I don't know why I can't find this flight. Okay, let's see if we can find a flight here. Santiago to... Here we got... Gotta be some flight. Okay, there are no... And it always depends. It depends on the time of year. I'm not seeing any good flight. Do I want to pay $11,000 for this flight or $1,700? I think they're a lot, depending on the flat earther, they say it's the same. Like, it's funny, again, they can't even agree. Some flat earthers will say this, some, you know, but it seems like the general one is they have that flat earth round map, which is basically you just took the globe and squished it, which again, it's not even a new map. you know, we see this map on the UN, we see it on the South America, or the South, the Antarctica Treaty. We see this map because it's a nice map for representing, it's a different way to represent the globe, right? We have the Mercator map, which you're stretching everything out to make it a rectangle. We have the round flat Earth, you know, what has now become the flat Earth map, but it's just a map looking at the Earth from the top, and it's a little distorted to show the South. That's why the South looks a little weird on those maps, and the North is smaller. Whereas on Mercator, you're stretching out the North, and the South is getting shrunk. All right, so here's another on our cheapest one is, again, United Airlines. We fly up from, you know, again, how do you explain this one? How do you explain this route? I need to get a flat Earth map, but would this make any sense? Flying from Santiago up to Houston, then to Newark, then to Johannesburg, right? Would that be a straight line on a flat Earth map? Let's flat Earth. Let's see. When the Earth is flat, there may be only 2 time zones. Yeah, I really have no idea. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like the whole idea is they have the sun is basically like a flashlight pointed down, and then it kind of, I guess, wherever that cone is, that's covered. But the problem is, like, how do you explain the sun going down over the horizon, right? How do you explain the sun going down and coming up? Well, it's because it's getting further away from you. It's like, yeah, but if it was getting further away from me and there was no curve, right, it was just flat, it would just continue out perspective-wise to a point, right? You know, you still have your 3D, but it would stay straight out. It wouldn't curve down over the horizon. It would go straight out. It would get closer and closer and closer to the horizon, but then it would eventually just kind of go out. And your angle of what it looks like, if you had a flashlight pointed down, a circle pointing down at you, and that's what we're looking at, right? High noon, you're like, oh, there's a big circle pointing down at me from the air. As it gets further over, that circle is not going to be a circle. It's going to become more elliptical, and, you know, eventually it's going to, yeah, whatever. It's weird. God's moving the flashlight. Well, like I said, it's like, and it's kind of disturbing to me because I'm a Christian. It disturbs me how many of these flat earthers are just obsessed where it's like, well, this is the Bible. This is, if you don't believe this, you're anti-God. It's like, no. Again, the Bible has, I mean, the Bible is just, a lot of times when it's the language it's using, you know, talking about the sun rising and the sun setting, is exactly the same kind of language we use on a daily basis. When we're sitting from our perspective, especially from a perspective of a person living 2,000 to 6,000 years ago, writing down these words, they don't know they're on a globe. And again, the concept of people not knowing we're on a globe until very recently is bullcrap also, because we had Greeks, you know, coming up with that concept. They doing that little test with, you know, the shadows on the Nile River between Cairo or Alexandria and I can't remember where the other place. It's like they knew, but they were, you know, still you have your poetic language, or you have your colloquial language like we have, right? The sun sets, the sun rises. No, it doesn't. It's always up. The sun does not set. We rotate, right? But we don't talk about it that way. You know, we talk about the seasons. We talk, you know, but they glom on this, and it just annoys me because, like, well, no, we have evidence of this, and what this doesn't change anything on that belief, really, you know. Greta will like it. Oh yeah, Greta will like it. Yeah, turn off the flashlight a little bit as your rudder problem at takeoff. Yeah, I flipped my rudder. Well, because I might be wrong about this, but I had my rudder set that where it just seems more intuitive to pull, like to turn with your rudder, at least on the ground. It makes sense to me to pull my rudder, you know, if I want to turn right, I pull the rudder back and, you know, turn, but that's not how it goes. I think you push it. You push it, and that's how rudders work, is you push the rudder. If you want right rudder, you push it in, but well, I had the axis reversed, and now I switched the other way because I don't want to be doing it the wrong way of the way the plane actually works if I'm gonna, you know, do that. Yeah, the edge. Well, I've seen some flat earthers say there is no, you know, we don't know how far the flat Earth goes beyond the ice wall. And there are some that actually posit that, like, you know, Venus, you know, the planets that we see are actually other suns for other worlds that are just beyond the, you know, the ice wall, and then there's another world and another circle, and then another ice wall, and then another. Like, okay. See the wiring for the rudder. Let's turns from one side to the other. Yeah, well, again, there's so many models of the flat Earth too. That's the whole problem. The most accurate flat map of Earth yet. Okay. Show me the map. There we go. Again, flat Earth maps, like a flat map of the Earth that's a circle, is not, like, wrong. It's a different way of representing what is reality, and actually useful for some things. But then people are like, I see you guys have those maps. It's like, yeah, because we want to represent something that's, you know, shows... Maps are always representing something, and depending on how you show the map, you're emphasizing something, or you're trying to examine one point versus another thing. Find a good one, because I kind of want to throw out some of these. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what's weird to me, and that's why I had my axis reversed, because it's not really intuitive to push forward. I don't know where I get the idea. Where I get that reverse, where it's like, okay, I want to turn right, I pull back on my right pedal, and that's going to turn right. And I don't know where I get that from. I don't know where that intuitiveness, that intuition comes from. But that's not how the plane works. You actually push in for the right rudder, or you push in for the left rudder, which is now the opposite. My brain is completely wired the opposite now, and I have to get out of that, because especially if I want to learn to fly a real plane, you know, I don't want to be. So it's going to take me a little while here. I think I've been doing that since, I don't know how long. I've probably been doing that the whole time I've been flight simming, which is not a good thing. Let's see. It's funny how it's like I can't find a flat Earth map that is not, like, just show me a flat Earth with a map. I don't need... Google have? Well, I'm using the pedals, like, if I'm flying a smaller plane, that you use your rudder a lot more. Obviously you do use the rudder on this, and it's going to be interesting on the landing if I have to put any rudder in, and trying to think, it's like, okay, don't put in the opposite. Because again, I've programmed my brain that if I want left rudder, I'm pulling on the rudder, not pushing on the rudder, and that's not the way it is. And so I've switched it to the way it should be in real life, but now it's going to be, my brain is thinking the wrong way. Let's see. Just get a map here. All I want is a map. Okay, this is... Is there not a... Let me see. Does Google Maps still have... I just read an article. I just saw an article that said maybe Google Maps got rid of the feature. What can I make Google... I just want to make Google Maps a flat map. But like a flat... Well, then it's going to be, yeah, for the next month it's going to be a little weird. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's some things where it's like you start doing it, it's just never going to get this. And then a month later, a couple months later, no problem. Playing me. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's what changed, is that Google Maps is no longer just flat. It does, as you zoom out, it does start getting that curvature, and it does get... Not really, what I want is a round map of the Earth, but it would be nice if there was no labels on it. Why can't I find a good one? because I kind of want to demonstrate how, because the point in this video, a lot of other videos I've seen, is this concept where it's like, oh, this flight makes more sense on a flat Earth. That's why they're stopping here for refueling or for picking up. Again, they like to say this refueling. It's like, no, they're picking up different passengers. It's actually 2 different flights. There's just not a nonstop flight, or there is a nonstop flight. There possibly is a nonstop flight, and the nonstop flight just flies down here on this circle. No, they don't. It's sad. I mean, I get it. I mean, it'd be one thing. It's one thing to look at something and be like, okay, how's that work? Like, I even watching some of these debunk videos, you know, debunking the flat Earth stuff, I've actually learned some things that I didn't think about before, or I probably learned it back in school, but then it's been, you know, I've forgotten it or whatever. You know, for example, the moon. The moon always gets me, right? Why do we have the phases of the moon? What is that? And every once in a while I'll say, oh, that's our shadow. And then I'm like, well, why is the shadow's not right for it coming off of us? And it's like, well, no, it's not our shadow. It's just literally we're seeing the lit up part of the moon from the sun. Well, how's that possible? Because the moon's way over there. The sun is way over there. And we're right here. And we're, you know, depending on where the moon is and where the sun is, you're seeing that. And that's why then you get, when the sun gets behind us, well, that's where you get your lunar eclipse. And when the sun, or however, you know, space is a big place. I think we, you know, for some reason, and that's where flat earthers have this problem. They don't understand the concept. A lot of them deny the concept of space, but they don't understand the concept of scale is the biggest thing. Scale is such a big thing when it comes to our real life systems. Is that, you know, right now, I mean, we're up here 37,000 feet. We can't. I don't know if there's really, I mean, there might be some distortion in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can see a slight curve. Maybe I'm even just seeing the curve because I know it's there. But at this height, you really can't see a real big curve. Why? Because the Earth is huge. We're not on a watermelon. We're not on a tennis ball. Obviously, if we were on a smaller Earth, if we were, you know, on a much smaller ball, we'd see the curve much more apparently on the horizontal plane. We do see it though on the vertical plane, or on the going away from us, you know, with all the distortions and everything else as well. But they will not accept any explanation of that kind of thing. Well, yeah, they're refueling and stuff that plane, but it's not. They're not stopping there for a fuel stop. Like, the reason there's a flight, you know, the reason... Where did that go? Oh, where was that other one? That LA one. Like, we looked at this one. You know, this flight right here, I don't know, this is might be United Airlines or something else, because the American Airlines went to LA and then you had to go to Houston, or to Dallas or Miami too, which is what I'm wondering. It's like, well, would this still make sense? And yeah, it actually would. You know, looking there, you know, you go out of Sydney, you stop in LA, you then fly to Dallas or Miami. I can't really see Florida, so that might not be going over Miami, but for sure Dallas, and then down to Santiago. Okay, you proved it. You proved it, flat earthers. You win. No, but, you know, why is this flight going up here? Well, because it's probably American Airlines, or it's United Airlines, or it's Delta Airlines. It's a U.S. airline that flies a route between Sydney and LA. And it also flies a route between LA and Santiago, but does not fly a direct route between Sydney and Santiago. However, there are airlines that do. Qantas, for example, flies a Sydney to Santiago. Why? Well, because it's an Australian airline, and so it's going to fly stuff out of Sydney to Santiago, to LA, to Hong Kong, to Beijing, to Moscow, to Dubai, to wherever, to London. You know, it's going to have those flights originating in Sydney and going out from Sydney, as opposed to, you know, same thing within Santiago. You have LAN Chile, or you have whatever airline down there, LATAM. It's going to fly, possibly, Santiago to LA, Santiago to Sydney, Santiago to Brazil somewhere, maybe to one to London. Everything's going from that country of origin where the airline is. That's how it's working, and that's what blows me away, is that these people, if you explain that to these people too, they're going to go, no, that's literally what it is. It's an economic thing. It has nothing to... There's no reason for... American Airlines does not fly random flights all over the world. It flies flights out of America You know, their long-haul international flights fly from U.S. origins to somewhere, and then 99% of the time flies from that somewhere back to the origin. There are some occasional flights that have maybe 3 or 2 legs to them, right? Where you'll have a flight from, you know, just hypothetical, you have an American Airlines flight that flies from LA to Sydney, and then maybe they do a Sydney to Brisbane or something, and then Brisbane back to LA, right? Now they don't. You know, or maybe LA to Sydney, and then Sydney to like Auckland, and then Auckland to LA. And actually we saw that with the LATAM. There's a LATAM flight that goes Santiago to Sydney, or Santiago to Auckland, and then Auckland to Sydney, then Sydney to Auckland, Auckland to Sydney. So you're knocking out a few countries as you're over there. Makes economic sense, right? But that's how the airlines work. They don't just fly random flights. And so they always do this. They pick a random flight, and how they're doing is they're looking on something like Expedia, and they're like, well, I want to fly from point A to point B. Well, why is there no direct flights? Because there are, and you're just not looking at the direct flight. You're looking at the cheapest flight. Here, duration shortest. Give me your. Now in this example, I guess there just are no non-stop flights between Santiago and Johannesburg anymore. But there was at some point. There probably was. It just isn't right now. It's not because they can't do it. It's not because flat Earth. Where was that? This one. Okay, I wanted to look this one up, but I can't find it. So let's see. Santiago, Dakar.
All taking place below the Tropic of Capricorn in the
it's not a refueling stop.
southern latitude, but instead, nearly every flight makes a refueling stop at the 50th degree north latitude in London first. On a
all right, here's another one. Sao Paulo to Johannesburg. Let's check this one out. Oh, Sao Paulo. Let's see what we got. Lights. I just figured this is just one that got me going, because why do we have no direct flights? Why can't we get anything? Again, there just might not be any direct flights. Sometimes that's just the case. It's not because they can't do a direct flight, because they just don't have a direct flight. No airline has set that up. You know, Azul Airlines or LATAM doesn't have a direct flight to Johannesburg, and South African Airways doesn't exist anymore, so they don't have any flight. Okay, so great example, and this is where they fail. Okay, so here, Sao Paulo to Johannesburg. Let's find the one that he's actually looking at, which is going to be, it's probably British Airways. There it is. Well, this one actually has a couple stops. But I'm assuming, like right here on his video, he's probably looking at a British Airways flight, right? Why doesn't it fly just direct from Sao Paulo to Johannesburg? Because British Airways is based out of London. So all the flights are London to Sao Paulo, London to Johannesburg, London to Hong Kong, London to Beijing, London to New York, London to Paris, right? They don't go London, Paris, then Paris to, Moscow, Kiev, whatever. It's always origins and their bases, right? That's what's going on here. He's like, well, yeah, but on the flat map, it makes sense. Now, this is the flat map, I think. This doesn't make sense. How does this make any sense, right? Yeah, this doesn't make sense if this is supposed to be one flight and they're just refueling, which they're not. That's not what's going on there. It's 2 separate flights. You're just taking 2 flights to get to your destination, because they're either no flight exists there, or you're getting you want to get a cheaper flight, or you only want to fly British Airways, or whatever it is. This doesn't make much more sense on the on the flat Earth map. I love this. This completely debunks his whole point, because it doesn't make any more sense. It's not as crazy as on the globe, or on this map at least, which is a Mercator projection to begin with, which is also warped. But how's this any better? Why wouldn't you just fly in a straight line right there? Or just take the little circle, right? Which is what they would do if they were doing a direct flight. Why wouldn't you fly Sao Paulo to Dakar? I mean, if you're trying to make this argument that it makes more sense on a flat Earth, they'd be flying Sao Paulo to Dakar and then back down. Or they'd be flying to the Ascension Islands or something, or to Helena, on the Ascension Islands where we flew.
Globe, Johannesburg, South Africa.
There you go. There's the, so this flight right there, this is this flight. Sao Paulo to Johannesburg. For $1,500, it's a one-stop flight. I stop in Dubai. Why? Because Emirates. Emirates is based in Dubai. All flights for Emirates originate in Dubai and go out and scatter across the globe. So this flight goes to Johannesburg. This flight goes to Perth. Well, this is actually a Perth flight, but the same concept. Like, why does it fly from Perth to Dubai, and why not right here? I don't know. Let's see. Are there any flights from Perth to Johannesburg? Could be. Probably not. There might be. I doubt there is. I couldn't see a huge... Oh, there is. There you go. Qantas Flight 65 has a direct flight from Perth to... Let's actually look at a past flight so we can see the exact flight route that it took. 11-hour flight. Look, it's a straight line on the rectangular map. So it's not even doing, or it's taking that little curve. Why? Because it's following the Great Circle. Oh, it's pretty cool right there. No, it's following that circle right there. But yeah, when you look up a flight and it's Emirates, it's not going to go direct from Australia to Johannesburg. It's going to go from Australia to Dubai, and then Dubai to Johannesburg, because these are two different flights that are originating or are going back to Dubai. Ah, so simple. And I know I'm belaboring it.
Australia should be a straight shot over the Indian Ocean, with convenient refueling possibilities on Mauritius or Madagascar. But in actual practice, most Johannesburg to Perth flights curiously stop over either Dubai, Hong Kong, or Malaysia.
Curiously, it does these things. And curiously, they don't, and curiously, the non-stop flight doesn't need to stop in Madagascar or Mauritius, because it doesn't need to stop there. That's not the issue. It's not a fuel issue either. It's literally, these are where the flights go.
On a globe, Cape Town, South Africa to Buenos Aires, Argentina should be a straight shot over the Atlantic.
Again, notice, so here we have a Mercator projection version of the globe, showing these, this makes no sense. Why don't they just go boom, boom, boom? Because they probably are a few flights that do go direct across the South Atlantic. But most of these, this is 100%, I can tell you, this is British Airways. This is probably a German airway, maybe. I don't know what, I don't know what that is. It's going to Copenhagen, it looks like, so... Denmark? I don't know. But Turkish Airways, Airlines, and Emirates, probably, right? Going to their main base, going to one of their bases in Europe, because this is a direct flight from point A to point B to point A. This is a direct flight from point A to point C. These airlines don't do this route. That's why you have to do this if you want to go on that airline. Now, again, there probably are some airlines that do this direct route, either out of Argentina, out of South Africa. There is an airline that does it, or out of Brazil. That's not what we're looking at here. And it's funny because, okay, you have this Mercator projection showing this ridiculousness. Then you have a flat Earth projection of this, which again is just a different way to show the globe in reality. It's one way to represent the globe. It's not 100% accurate because you're not getting the clear picture that this actually, this wraps around. But that's all this flat Earth map is. But they go, no, this is an ice wall. Can't go that way. And this doesn't make any more sense than this map, except unless you understand that, oh yeah, I'm flying from point A or point B to point A, and then point A to point C. B and C don't go together because it's British Airways, or it's Emirates, or it's Turkish, right? So this is the funniest part, because they'll do these arguments, and I got to give them credit that they're showing multiple examples, so you can't criticize that, you can't call them out and say, well, you're only cherry picking examples. But man, cherry pick the examples if you're trying to fool people. I mean, the people that are getting fooled by this are just not thinking with their brains, because it's like, if I was to make a flat Earth, if I was trying to convince you that this is what was going on, I would show you that first. I'd show you the first one, that one from Sydney to LA to Santiago. That one's a nice straight line. It even works for going to Dallas as well. That's the only one I would show you. And probably people in my comments would say, "Oh well, I think are you? Does that work for all these flights, or is it just that flight?" Because that was my concern. So I'm thinking it's like, oh yeah, it works for that one. Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting quirk. It's not the reason, but it's an interesting quirk about that flight. But then he keeps going on and showing more examples, which just, again, if I was flying, is this not a straight line right here? Would this not be a straight line? Boom. On the flat Earth, would this not be a straight line? How is this a straight line? This is a 90-degree angle. Yeah, it's not a... I mean, this is even... It's the same thing. Like, why... How is that better? Again, that LA... The Sydney, LA, Santiago is a perfect example that if you want to run with this and try to convince people and pull the wool over their eyes, pull that out. Don't... Why are you showing me this map? All this tells me is you don't... you just don't understand how airlines work.
Following the same line.
I'm just going. I'm sorry. It's just...
But instead,
funny.
Every flight goes to connecting locations in the northern hemisphere first,
yeah.
Stopping over anywhere from London to Turkey to Dubai.
Yeah.
Such ridiculously wayward detours as these make no sense on the globe, but make perfect sense and form nearly straight lines when shown on a flat Earth map.
Okay, another one. So there's this one guy. This isn't this guy, but there is a guy. He likes to... I don't know the guy's names. I don't follow him enough. But he has this... There's this book that's like 16 emergency landings that show that the Earth is flat. It's like, no. Right in the title, I mean, right here. Okay, so we have this flight going from New York to Hawaii. Yeah, there's the straight line on the globe. It's like, well, straight line on the globe. Why would you emergency land in Seattle? Well, because first of all, airlines do not fly the straight line like that. That's not how the flight works. The flight probably does go up that way because, again, you're going with the Great Circle. Right here you can even see you're probably kind of doing that. You're going to be hitting Seattle because look at your flat Earth. Why does it make sense on the flat Earth map? Because that's how it is on the actual globe too. But even bigger... You literally said it here. Emergency landing in Seattle. Why did they land in Seattle? Well, they didn't go out of their way. I mean, they're over Seattle. It's like you just don't understand how Earth's, how maps are. And then using emergency landings, it's like, yeah, it's an emergency landing. You probably couldn't land in LA or wherever they were. Sometimes that's how it works. But yeah, it's just kind of silly. It's like, well, you show exactly why they drop in Seattle because that's a straight line. That's probably the path they're taking on a curved map on a flat Earth, on a Mercator projection. That's going to be kind of rounded and looking like it's humping up to Seattle, but it's really just a straight line on the globe and on your flat Earth map here, which is a representation of the globe just squished. They don't understand that all they're doing here is proving it. And this is also just a bad line. You squished this Google Earth. You drew this weird line in.
Cites an average duration of 13 hours and 22 minutes.
Hundreds of flights every day that make fuel stops that make no sense on a globe. Because they're not making fuel stops. They're literally flying from point A to point B, unloading, then getting fuel, but not because they need fuel to continue on to the rest of the flight, but because they're flying a different flight, possibly right back to where they came from, possibly to some other point, but not the flight you think it is. Right here, like this again, these weird triangle things. It's like, yeah, because you're looking at it here, the flights that are in a straight line, possibly they're just these are this is a coincidence right here. Why is it stopping in Senegal? Because because that's the flight.
With 1,331 miles
per
hour.
I remember. Yeah, this is the video. This is the main video that Eric Dubé. Like here, it's like, oh, you guys have the flat Earth map on it. It's like, yeah, because it's a great way to show the whole planet, show the concept of a globe, but to be able to show all the countries at once, because you can't, if you show a 3D globe or you show a 3D but into a 2D form, you're only going to be showing either Africa and Europe and Asia, or you're going to be showing either the Eastern or the Western Hemisphere. You can't show both. How do you show all of it at the same time? Right from the top. Right from the top,
which, according to Google search, is just below the 540 mile/hour average flight speed even expected. Some Globe Sydney to Santiago flights
this whole
follow
thing.
a great circle route over the Pacific the claim.
Right.
Firstly, it has yet to be proven online fails to go through not edited video radical. There is still 540 miles per hour is the average commercial airline speed, but most Convairs and Boeings have the capability of traveling much faster, especially during such long-haul flights, upwards of 600 to 800 miles per hour. The Concorde commercial airliner exists, speeding up travels non-stop the exact route Globe debaters claim.
Which is kind of funny here. Now again, they'll explain this way, because you can actually see a slight curve there. Like if you would actually put two lines, like I'm sure there's a tool on Windows I could use right now or whatever. But if I would put a line right here and put a line right there and angle them with that too, because we're on an angle right now. And then you would try to see where they meet. This is going to be higher than these 2 points, because there is a slight curve. Even in this image, there's a slight curve. And especially if you squish it, then you'll see that curve better. Again, the Earth is really big, but even you can still see the curve. We can see the curve on Flight Simulator as well. Now, of course, I'm not going to use Flight Simulator as proof, because the Flight Simulator, obviously, well, it's just it's a program, and of course, you guys, NASA's lies of the flat Earth, so it's fake. And yeah, I would not use Flight Simulator as the proof of it, because they'll just say, yeah, well, it's a program, and that's true, it is. I mean, but yeah, it's wild, and that's the one of the flat Earth arguments that gets me, is that the whole airline thing, the whole air route thing. It's like, it's not how air routes work. Air routes can be anything. Can be, first of all, it's what route does that airline fly between those two cities, or does it fly between those two? Yeah, it's the biggest problem with flat earthers is they are terrible at researching their position. I've had so many ideas of things I want to make videos for or comment on, and I typically I get to that kind of the brainstorming point, and I start realizing, okay, this is how much I need to do a ton of research before I can make a comment, because I'm going to say something and I'm going to look like a complete moron when I say it, because I didn't do a quick Google search, or I did do a quick Google search and I picked the first page I found, and it wasn't accurate, or I misread it and didn't understand it. Actually doing pretty good on flight time. Might be able to, we'll see, might be able to do a flight from the flight to New York. I don't know, we'll see. I want to go here, menu, PSU, let's get the weather request. But that's a big thing for me. It's like whenever I want to comment on something, I start looking into more information. If I don't understand something, or I don't have like firsthand knowledge of it, or clear understanding of what like someone else is telling me, I have to look into it. And then as I look into it, I go, oh, okay, you know what? I don't know enough to be able to speak authoritatively on this, or I don't know the legit argument against something. Like, okay, what am I arguing against a straw man, or am I actually arguing against what they actually are arguing? I like I said, this one, obviously I'm just rambling here. If I wanted to make a more concise video, of course, I'd have to work it down. But I have a pretty good idea what they're getting at in these videos with the flight routes. This concept where it's like, the biggest part, they're trying to convince you that, oh, you can't fly from point A to point B. There's no flights that fly from point A to point B without going to point C. And it must be because, well, point C is really in the middle, and it totally just makes sense to land in point C. And it's like, well, sometimes, I mean, like I said, that first example, you give that example from Santiago, Chile to Sydney or vice versa, with a stopover in LA, and in reality there's probably a stopover in Dallas Fort Worth also, depending on the airline, going American. It just coincidentally happens to make a straight line on a flat earth map. Cool. That works for your argument. That works for a goofy YouTube video where you're trying to trick people into believing something. The problem is it breaks apart, and it's funny how in that video he kept showing more examples, and progressively as his examples went along, it became more and more apparent that it had nothing to do with, it's like, oh, well, this is actually on the route. The last map he showed London, Copenhagen, Istanbul, and Dubai coming out of South America and then going into Africa, and it's like none of those flights made sense on the globe or on the flat earth, unless you understand that those flights are not non-stop flights simply stopping somewhere because the plane is running out of fuel, but that those are flights flying to bases for that airline. So British Airways, you're going to land in London. Emirates, you're going to land in Dubai. Turkish Airlines, you're going to land in Istanbul. So that was what I kind of wanted to ramble and rant about tonight a little bit. I also wanted to get some other stuff done in the background, but if I'm rambling and ranting and doing that, I can't really butts around on preparing stuff for future streams, which is what I should be doing on these. Well, I don't. What I should be doing is whatever. But glad you guys came in. We're flying over to Bermuda. I don't know, maybe I should make a video. Maybe I should make a video proving flat Earth, because I can't fly from Miami, or I can't fly from Bermuda to Beijing without having to stop in New York or something. It's like, because they're in a line. Maybe they are in a line, I don't know. I'm gonna look on. Maybe I'll make a video. I proved it. You'd think with all the flat Earth maps out there, it'd be... Here we go. This is actually an old map. That's not even a... Not even like a flat Earth. When is this made? From... like an old school flying map, it looks like. Yeah, aviation. Aviation map. And this map, actually, is going to show you where planes needed to do fuel stops, because at that point, at this point, you needed to do fuel stops. Because the Earth is a sphere, it is possible to see only half of it at once. A map is necessary to see all places in the world at the same time. There are many kinds of maps, each one designed for a specific purpose. Oh, look at that. Purpose of this map is to show air routes from the U.S. to other places in the world. Therefore, the United States has been made the center or focal point of this map. Is it really? Oh, yeah. Notice, okay, that's very interesting. I was looking for a North Pole centered map, but this one's actually an American centered map. That's why you can see all of Antarctica, and there is no ice wall, because this is a map that is centered on the U.S. And notice how, which makes it really trippy, because you see all the lines for the longitude and latitude lines get really trippy because of how the orientation of the map. Like Australia looks completely messed up, you know, compared to what we think of it. And you can just see how because again, what is this map showing us? That's really cool. So this might not help me, because again, this is a flat Earth map, but it's not directly from the North Pole. Well, again, it depends on your map, because, okay, let's do that. Remember the argument he was making, right? Sydney, Santiago, right? Okay, well, this one, Sydney to LA, Santiago, doesn't work. Why is that? Because it's a different map. And because you picked one map and you have one representation of the world, you know, it's like, why is that the representation of the world? Because they believe that the North Pole is the center. But I was like, this is a pretty cool map, actually. So these are all, what was this supposed to be? Air is the only medium of transportation which can be used by all people everywhere in the world. The air relationships of people are not dependent upon the characteristics of land or ocean routes or topography. The shortest air distances between places on the Earth are determined by great circles, lines around the Earth that divide the globe in half. Therefore, this map has been designed so that all great circles passing through the center of the United States are straight lines. Interesting. There's your great circle. See your straight lines there? Right there. Cool. That's really cool, like having this facts about the map. We've kind of gone away from having like maps. Maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do in this room, or whatever room I end up in. I'm just gonna start plastering maps up everywhere. I think that'd be really cool. I love maps, and it's been so long. I think I've gotten away from loving maps, because when you're on the internet all the time, you're not really looking at maps. It's not the same as having that paper map in front of you, and different kinds of maps that we used to have. Now everything's very just, here's your satellite imagery. You were so used to that Google map concept. Therefore, this map has been designed, okay, a straight line drawn to any place in the world from the center of the United States is a great circle and the shortest distance. By using the scale, this distance may be measured both in statute miles and thus geographical relationships existing between people in the U.S. and those living elsewhere in the world can be readily understood. In addition, comparisons can be made between great circle routes and the routes which are followed in peacetime air transportation. The principal reason for divergence from great circle routes is to enable airlines to serve centers of largest populations most efficiently. There you go. There's the answer, flat earthers. That's why that airline routes are the way they are. Not because it's a flat earth and they need to refuel. Even though they do need to refuel here. In this map, there are going to be a lot of refueling points, but none of them have to do anything with flat Earth, and they're still going to be weird looking at it. On this map, our extended use of air may in the future cause new centers to develop. Yep. On this map, the scale used to measure distances is only accurate when applied to straight lines passing through the center of the United States. Use a globe to obtain great circle routes and distances between points, both of which are outside of the United States. Maps similar to this one have been constructed using other places as focal points. By using these other maps, appreciation can be gained about the point of view of people living in various parts of the world. Okay, so basically what you can do, if I was reading that right, you draw a straight line from anywhere in the US, or a straight line basically from the center of the US, and to a point, that would be the route you would take. That'd be, you know, on the globe, it'd be like a circle, right? Or if we were on a flatter map, you'd see the circle. So if we flew from LA, it'd be a straight line. That would be your route. But when you look at it on a flat Mercator map, it's going to have that weird curve to it because, again, you're going over this curve. But, you know, because of the way this map is, basically every point out of the United States, you just draw a straight line and measure it. Now you can see there are no direct routes at this point between LA and Sydney because you did have to refuel. So they you know, here, you know, flat earther. Why, if I want to fly from Sydney to Mexico City, why doesn't it just go boom, boom? Why doesn't it just do that? Well, because on this, at least with these American Air routes, I have to fly to Numania, to New Caledonia, to the Fiji Islands, to the Phoenix Islands, to Hawaiian Islands, and then to LA, and then to Hawaii, right? Because the flights are shorter. Interestingly, you can even see some curve here on some of these routes. You can start seeing that curve because of how they are, just the perspective. That's a pretty cool map. That'd be a pretty cool map. World around the United States. Alright, I wanted to look for a flat world map, though, because I wanted to see, now I can't remember which one I had. I think it was Bermuda to Beijing. I wanted to see if we could make a flat Earth argument using that. Bermuda to Beijing. Show me a flat Earth map. Come on. And you know what? I bet you could do it. There you go. Flat Earth matters. So there's New York to New York to where's that? That's New York to kind of the middle between Thailand and that's Thailand, and then Laos or Cambodia. We're out here, so Bermuda's gonna be here, and if I wanted to fly Bermuda to Beijing, but in reality, the only way I can fly Bermuda to Beijing would be go Bermuda to New York to Beijing. Well, maybe Bermuda's right. Yeah, it might be a straight line. I proved flat Earth. There it is. All right. I guess with that one we could have proved it. That's why there's only a flight from Bermuda to New York. You know, and then there's a stopover for fuel in New York, and then down to Beijing. Right. But again, I'm sure you could do that with so many flights because just coincidental. All right. Enough about that. Enough on that. But like I said, I learned some... Oh, there we go. Alright, we're doing ILS Zulu. Messages. Print that out on the flight plan. We go back in here, fix this. So we're right now headed to free row. Make sure we don't mess up. Go back in here. Arrival runway 30 Zulu ILS. Boom pop up 1. Our VIA is going to be 2D, and transition I would put in the Xantake. Through there, we're still going to trio, looking good. Alright. I think Yankee must go or roundabout or something. We are ready for descent.
American 308, ready for descent. American 308, maintain flight level 370. Maintain flight level 370. American 308.
Alright, we're going to enter the destination data. We have a QNH of 1005. We have a temperature of 15 degrees. Now remember, it is the middle of the night in real time. We're just flying with the weather or with the light instead of the live time. Winds, we have looks like 310 degrees, 18 knots with gusts up to 28 knots. So we're going to have a little bit of wind on the landing. I'm going to have to kind of look and see how that's going to affect us. So what do we got? We're doing runway. You can actually kind of figure that out right now. Jump up on the chart. We're coming on runway 30. So we're coming this way. That's our wind. The wind is going to be coming 310. So we have a slight, not much of a crosswind. So it's still going to have. We're going to have gusts coming at us. So that's not a huge deal as long as they are coming in. They're going to be pushing us a little bit to, I believe. On my compass here. Pushing us to the left, right? That's 360. Yeah. We're going to get a slight push to the left, so we'll have to get, put in a little bit of right rudder, I believe. Probably screw that up and we'll all die. So, alright, check out this chart right here so we can get our minimums. Go right from the top and do a briefing. So we're landing at Tango X-Ray Kilo Foxtrot. I'm going to put this over here. This screen. I can kind of be looking at you guys while I'm reading it. We got a Tango X-Ray Kilo Foxtrot Bravo Delta Alpha, the Weight International. We got the right chart here from July 22. The ILS Zulu, runway 30, that's what we need. Bermuda Island, yes. ATIS 119.6, alright. Final approach course is going to be 297 degrees. Glide slope we're capturing at 1,481 feet at 4.6 miles out from the ILS. Localizer is going to be 109.9. ILS minimum 254 for the barometer. 254 feet. It's going to be 236 feet above the runway, or above the threshold. Elevation is 18 feet. We do right around the VOR here, but we have a 1,500 feet. We need to be stay above 1,500 feet, except for our approach. If we have a missed approach, we're going to climb to 3,000 feet direct Wenan and hold, or as directed by ATC, missed approach, climb gradient to Wenan 2.7%. Altimeter set inches. Okay, well, that's weird how I got it. The readout came back as QNH, but thing will be. Okay. Let's see, we need GNSS and DME required. Use IBDA DME when on localizer course. When tower inoperable, obtain local altimeter settings on the ATIS. When not available, procedure not authorized. So if we don't have any altimeter, then we cannot proceed. We do have something right now, so we are good. We should get some tower though as well. Max 210 knots for all turns. Pilot controlled lighting on 122.8 when tower is inoperable. All right, missed approach. Expect ships mast up to 210.
Flight level 190. Descend and maintain flight level 190. American 308.
All right, so this is a crazy one here. Not crazy, but where am I going? This one, missed approach. Expect ships mast up to 210 feet. All right, there's the VOR. Again, so here's our overhead view of our approach. We're coming in 2D. We're then going to go on course 27 degrees to CABM, turn into our final 297, and at 4.6 miles out from that ILS, we will capture the glide slope, our final fix point right there. Our initial fix is going to be, well, initial fix right here is her end. I guess here's another initial one. Yeah, initial approach fix. Final approach, expect ship's mast up to 280 feet. So again, 280 feet on this side, 210 on this side. I don't know how that works. Do they limit how high the ships can be on the approach side versus on the other side, or how does that work? Again, max 210 knots for all of our turns coming in here. All right, here we have the side view of the approach. We're going to be at 1,500 feet at CABM, and we'll take that in, capture the glide slope, descend along the glide slope, minimums, and of course our missed approach. I forget some of this stuff. I just learned a bunch of this stuff, and now I can't remember it. But we shouldn't have... Some of this, again, a lot of this stuff is for if you don't have a tower, if you know, here's the... like when you should go around based on how much visibility you have actually on the runway. We shouldn't have any trouble. It looks like we have some clouds. We'll go back and look at that weather again. But 254 again for our minimums. We have the go around procedures again. We have an ALSFI PAPI light system, approach lights, and then the PAPI for the landing. 3,000, we climb straight ahead, 3,000 feet, then direct to Wenan. No circling, you can see that, no circling off to our left of the runway. Or at least not authorized at night. Then our visual go around, we're just going to go out, straight out to Wenan. Really nice, easy go around, straight out to Wenan, go into a hold. And then then they'll give us probably vector us back out to 2D or something for a go-around procedure. There you go. There is our briefing. Jump on this one because we haven't really looked. We're coming up on pop-up. You can see that. We got a hold point. We are descending. We're at 20,000 feet. We're a little bit high. So we might need to have a vector out. Get her cleared. We need to get down to 3,000 feet or above 3,000 feet. Remember, CABM, we're at 1,500. So we need to be 210 knots as well at 2D. So I think we're going to have a hard time doing that. High up. They didn't give us clearance, though, so they'll have to vector us. Or I'll vector myself, because really with FS HUD ATC, you can't, they don't really give you vectors or anything.
American 308, descend and maintain 10,000. Descend and maintain 10,000. American 308.
Alright, so you can see right here, you can see that turnaround back in, so we're going to be going around the island back in the opposite direction for the landing. Actually, so looks like we have, I mean, this is visibility, unlimited. Scattered clouds at 3,400 feet, so we're going to have a little bit coming in, but we'll be below that as we're coming for the approach, so we'll have no problem. Not sure what a VCSH is. I'm more worried about these gusts, really. Visibility, we're pretty good, it looks like. And if we do have to go to a different airport, then we have to head out to, I believe, it might be Virginia. Not sure what airport that is. Maybe Kitty Hawk, Greenville. What was that? Now what's nice about our landing here, to a certain extent, is that we're going to be coming in. The gate we're going to is going to be here on apron 7 all the way down here. We don't have the chart for the parking stands, but we're going to come in and might just roll all the way down the runway depending on traffic, and we'll get off at Bravo into the apron. We'll be going to gate C3, I believe. Did all that. I want to check the radio nav page, 109.9. Double check that. For our approach, final course, 297. I'm also going to put in the VOR. There's nothing on the approach that we need to use the VOR for, but we'll put that in. We'll put the course as well, just as a backup. The speed. Can I not use the speed brakes? Sometimes the speed brakes work, and as we can see on this one, I don't know if I maybe I've been having trouble with the speed brakes for a while. Because every other flight, speed brakes don't want to work, and it's not going to work on this one. So we're definitely gonna have to vector to get in, because we were dropping speed to 250. We need to get down to 210, and we only have 30 miles. We need to also be at 3,000 feet by then, or around 3,000 feet if we want to make our approach. So we're going to probably vector a little bit. Well, let's do vector out 120 degrees. The waves that are remind me a little bit of the textures in X-Plane, where they're kind of repeated. Not sure why that's happening, but we can definitely see the waves because we do have that nice significant wind coming in Bermuda. Alright, we're at 10,000 feet. Can we continue to descend, please? There we go.
Descend and maintain 1,500. Descend and maintain 1,500. American 308.
Yeah, you can already see that wind right up here. Coming about 330 degrees. So on landing, we're going to be getting a little bit of that. Alright, let's do our approach checklist. Barrel reference, seatbelts should already be on, but they aren't. Let's get back up top. Seatbelt signs on, landing lights on. Light ourselves all up. Alright, seatbelts on, minimum set. Auto brake, we're going to do. Let me throw my calculator in, and might not really need much of an auto brake at all. Alright, we're going to go full flaps, pro speed 144 knots, landing speed 138, and we'll probably just go with a low auto brake. That way you can get towards the end of the runway as well. And just hit the last taxiway and get right to our gate. We're vectoring right now 120 degrees. We'll then vector back to 2D once we're, I'd say about 4,000, 5,000 feet. We'll start directing back to 2D. Our checklist. So auto brake low, engine mode select normal. Actually, all right. So our next checklist: ECAM memo landing, no blue.
$2,500. $2,000.
Get a cabin check. We vectored a little bit too long there. Heading back to 2D. Trying to decide if I want to fly the next flight. It'll take me pretty close to when I want to go to bed. If I want to kind of take a break or not. Okay, headed to cabin. Alright, for you guys on YouTube, I just pinned the next stream. Head on over there towards the end of the stream, and we'll do that next flight. We'll fly over to the JFK on JetBlue. Should be a nice flight, another long one. I might not yap as much. Aviator. Let me see, what is it? Aviator Kanishk, thanks for the follow on Twitch. Thank you very much. Welcome in. We're on final approach, or we're not on final yet, but we're making our way over there. There's Bermuda. Just see it. See the runway lights. And once we're done with this flight, we'll get the next one set up to fly out of here JetBlue over to New York City.
500. Maintain 1,500. American 308. American 308 cleared ILS Zulu approach at 1,500. Runway 30. Report established on localizer. Cleared ILS Zulu approach at 1,500. Runway 30. Report established on localizer. American 308.
LS evaded. I'm not really loving how the plane already reduced speed to 140 knots, especially with this big turn. This is when you can stall out. This is like the most dangerous part of a approach is final turn, especially when you're already really low on speed. Now we can always spool the engines up, but especially in a jet, you have to wait for that spooling. All right, we're gonna hit this approach button just as soon as we balance out here. See the runway. The runway's right there, isn't it? We're kind of drifting. We have to drift back to the that way. Gotta be it, right? With that approach, we are established on the localizer. You can see we got the green little dot.
Established on localizer. American 308. Contact Bermuda Tower 118.1. Contact Bermuda Tower 118.1. American 308.
Alright, so as I said, we will be doing the next flight. We'll be in the Airbus again here. We'll flight JetBlue 1632 from Bermuda over to JFK.
Continue approach. American 308.
Continuing the approach. Let's make sure we're on that green dot. Pink triangle or the pink diamond still up there, so we are well below the glide slope at this point, but we will be capturing it pretty soon. If you're watching on YouTube, again, hit that link, it's pinned. That will take you to the next flight stream. I'll end this YouTube stream. If you're on Twitch, you'll just go to an intermission screen for about 15 minutes while I get everything set up, loaded in the new livery. Gotta make sure SimBrief is all squared away. All that stuff. Should be a nice, a little bit shorter flight than this one, but still about 2.5 hours. That'll take us to the sun rising here. And maybe, I was gonna say we could do it real time, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll do a real time flight and we'll maybe get the sun rising on us as we come in. It'll be about 4 in the morning when we take off, East Coast time. Yeah, I think we'll get a sunrise. Yeah, we'll probably take off from Bermuda in the dark, and we'll get kind of like a morning landing in New York. That'll be kind of cool. A real life flight will be taking off in 2 in the afternoon, and then getting like an evening landing in New York. But we already did one of those into Miami, and let's just do live time on the next flight. Be pretty cool. We're going to go landing gear down. Alright, I gotta remember how my rudder pedals work. I've switched them to the way they work in actual planes, which is you push the rudder in for the rudder, as I've been doing a pull situation, which is not what you is the real life thing. So now I got to kind of retrain my feet, my brain for that, because I'm thinking about getting real flight lessons and stuff. And obviously, if I'm training myself to do it the wrong way on the feet, it's going to really cause problems in the real plane. So I got to work out that habit. All right, we got wind at 330 degrees at 20 knots. So we got a little bit of a crosswind. We're going to probably have to put in a little bit of right rudder. So I'm going to push the right rudder, or pull the left, I guess, depending on how I want my brain to think. Beautiful. Bermuda looking beautiful out here, just on its own, out in the middle of the Atlantic. Almost wonder if I should just let it auto land with the wind, but I should practice a little crosswind. Oh, it's actually coming in from... I got my, never mind. I was gonna say the wind is coming... My FS HUD ATC shows a little wind thing, and it's pointing the wrong direction. It doesn't understand direction, I think. It's saying 300, but the wind's coming...
300. 100 above.
Going from the right. Actually, not too bad. We're actually a little low.
120, 100, 50, 40,
down here,
30, 20, retard, retard, retard.
American 308.
Again, my rudder, I completely...
When vacated, contact ground 124.5.
I'm not used to my rudders. I've got my rudder, my brain is working the opposite direction. You can see it. I keep thinking the wrong thing. That was a terrible, terrible rollout. I definitely know that. Oh my, I'm still doing it. I need to go left. I need to push. Push where I want to go. 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 Push where I see I can't. It's so hard on my brain right now. Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I've trained my brain the opposite, where I pull to do the turn. So if I want to go right, I pull the rudder. You know, I pull it back. I push left to go right, actually. So I had it all backwards. So, yeah, that's gonna be a headache. What are lights doing? I've never seen those lights flashing like that before. This is a pretty good freeware upgrade to the airport. Okay, we are taxiing via Bravo. Yep. Via Bravo, American 308. Okay, well, we got landed. All over the runway, though. And I can't even use my tiller correctly right now. Alright, landing lights can come off. Taxi light, strobe auto. So it's gonna be rough. Some of these things are gonna be a little bit rough next few flights as I get used to doing the rudders the proper way. Yeah, I can't even remember how my tiller works now. I wish I had like an actual tiller as opposed to, I have like a wheel. I have to remember that if I push forward on the wheel, it goes, I mean, it's basically, the tiller is like a tiller on a Boeing, right? It's on my Thrustmaster rudder, or on my throttle. And so it's a wheel, so you either go forward or you go back. It's kind of like a trim wheel almost, right? But you can see that wind right there. The problem is that the little gotta remember which way is which. Same with the rudder pedals now. Overcomplicated my life on this flight. Beautiful. Got a lot of these planes I think are just might be just static, but not sure. FSLTL might have put these in. Nice to see some activity here in Bermuda. There's our JetBlue. I don't think I might use that gate. I could use that gate. I think I did some updating to the gates here, but I don't think I actually did. The only thing I'll have to do is I'll have to just fix the pushback for it, because I can't figure out how to get the passengers to properly not be floating in the air before they get into the thing. Oh, I was like, where's my marshaller? But I didn't turn on GSX Pro. Tell them I was coming to this gate. I need to remember to do when we get off the runway. Then we get all that cool stuff. Alright, parking brake is set. Let's turn off the taxi lights. And we should have had the APU going. Got to do that. Cheat and just turn on the external power here. And we'll bring down the engines. Open. Alright, we're gonna request deboarding.
Deboarding requested.
Beacon light off.
Passengers deboarding starting.
As long as I keep this view, you guys won't see, like at the end of the jetway, the passengers pop up and go flying off into space for some reason. But we can keep it right here and you won't even notice that. Look at that. Nice and pretty. Okay, let's jump in here. That's passenger. There's payload. Oh, I already started it, so they're already getting off. You can see seats are opening up. Kind of getting off in a random order. All right, so let's do a little review of the flight. Bring up Valenta right there. Do the flight. Our departure out of Miami over Freeport, Grand Bahama. And then a nice straight shot over to Bermuda. Got a little bit of weather, mostly clouds it looks like. And landing rate 146, so not a bad landing, even while we kind of loaded that thing. 186 passengers supposedly. But otherwise, not too bad. Flight time 2 hours and 16 minutes. So there's our flight. Bring up the Alright, there's the world tour map. Everywhere we've flown so far on this world tour. And today, this flight, we've just gotten into Bermuda, which I'm now realizing I don't think I actually have I can't actually reveal. Oh, did I forget about Bermuda? Oh, poor Bermuda. Poor Bermuda. Oh, I forgot about it. Oh, what a goof. There it is. Well, I don't have the flag ready for that, so what we'll do is we'll just do this. I'm gonna give it a color. I can't. Never mind. Well, I got some egg on my face on that one. Alright, next flight we're gonna be flying over to New York City. That world map didn't work out the way I wanted to. Yeah, let's just board everyone.
Boarding starting.
Alright, so we're in Bermuda. They are unloading the cargo right there. Crew's gonna be getting off. And I have to say, this is a beautiful. Seeing it in the day, whenever I've been working on this airport, GSX Pro or something, I've been looking at it during the evening hours. And here we'll give you an example of what happens with GSX Pro sometimes as the crew deboards and they decide to load out the top of the jetway. See that? Kind of just right at the last second, they just hop out for some reason. Oh well. Absolutely beautiful.
Pilots to boarding starting.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, thanks for coming along on the flight. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, whoa, the weather just decided to take a little bit of a change there. Maybe as we're taking off here real time, we'll get it in at night. We'll be in the dark on our takeoff. We might have a little bit of weather to contend with. All right. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, click on that link that's pinned. They'll take you to the next stream for the flight to New York City. If you're watching on Twitch, thank you very much. We'll just go to an intermission. You guys keep chatting. I'll be right here. I might take a quick bathroom break, of course. And I will see you in probably 15 minutes here at in Bermuda in the JetBlue. And we might have some rain. It looks like we're having some weather coming in. We'll have a nice little wet takeoff at night. We're going to be doing live time for the takeoff and flight to New York in just about 15 minutes. So I will see you then. Let me just the cranking over here. And I will see you back here in about 15.